guys, it's Ashley, your scrapping nerd, and I'm back with a layout today for It's All About the Mouse YouTube hop. And we were given this photo as inspiration. It's for the Festival of Arts. And so for me, what I took from that photo is bright colors and non-traditional Disney colors. And so I pulled out my Vicki Boutin Where to Next collection. And I also pulled in some Simple Stories and Echo Park sticker pads for their Disney collections. And then these are all the ephemera bits and some stickers that I have for the Vicki Boutin. And I also found, I had this, I guess you could call it like cut file, or die cut. I want to say probably 10 years, 11 years. There was a scrapbook store no, it's got to be more than that. But anyways, there's a scrapbook store closing, and they had one of those big kind of like Sizzix dies. And so my mom and I went through and we die cut like all the dies they had that we liked. We cut them because they had like a classroom where you could use stuff. And this just happened to be one that I have had forever, and I have it in blue and I have it in pink. And so I'm going to use both of those. But I'm starting with this paper from the Vicki Boutin paper pack, and I really like this idea of this different color scheme for Disney. And so this was a fun layout to make. And I liked how there was kind of like a sun rays or like a starburst or whatever, all kind of in the middle. And I wanted my picture to be kind of the center part of that, but I wanted to put these different strips on the side. I grabbed this kind of scrap paper that I had so that I could make sure that my layout stays 12 by 12, and I just have papers that I'm not going to use in a layout that I have for my scraps. And so I shifted this pink one over so that the kind of center of that rays would be behind my photo. And so I'm just getting this stuck down. I have the two on the piece that I'm putting down, and then I put one on the edge of the white paper that I'm sticking everything to, so that to make sure that when I cut the extra off, it won't rip or tear. And so you can see on the left side is white because that's where I'm going to put my different strips, and then I'm going to cut off on the right. And I just do this because I don't want to try to figure out math. I don't math, and so I don't want to measure and try to make sure that my layout ends in 12 by 12. It's just easier to grab one of the papers that I'm not using and use that as my guide and glue everything on top of that, and then I don't have to math at all. And so I really like how that looks, and it looks kind of funky at the moment because it's so off skew, but once I get my strips on, then it kind of evens it out and it looks pretty good. And so I pulled in, because I had a bunch of scraps already from this collection. I have an entire paper pad of this, so I'm using this for when I want to do bright colors, because it's not something that I normally have in my stash. And so I really like having the collection. And so I just went through and I was cutting different sizes of strips for the side here, and in the different patterns and the different colors. And what I liked was that it brought in like I said, all these different colors for Disney that are not normally Disney colors. And so I found that really interesting. And so I am just cutting all these strips, and while I work on that, make sure that you check out all the links below for everyone that's playing along with All About the Mouse. It's a fun hop we do every month, and there's a different, either a sketch or like an inspiration photo or something to draw from for the hop. And so it'll be fun to see what people's inspirations were from the photo of the Festival of Arts from earlier. So make sure that you go and you check all of that out in the links below. And so I decided that I wanted to cut fishtail banners, and I did this off camera, so I apologize. I just fold them in half and cut at an angle so that they're the same size, but for some reason I wasn't doing that in camera. And I liked that would add some decoration to the banners that I'm adding. And the yellow striped one was just one of the strips from the pattern paper, and I just cut that down. There's also some turquoise ones too. And I didn't lay these out in any order where it was like this one first, then this one. I just kind of haphazardly put them on the side so that there was all different colors, and you can see there. And once I had them down, I thought that there wasn't differentiated enough, so I went through with some distress ink in black soot and just inked the edges, and that will help just kind of differentiate them from each other and add the kind of a shadow to them. And so I really like how that looks. And then I just trimmed off the excess that I had sticking out. And so you can see now I have a 12 by 12 paper using, you know, the scrap paper in the back, and then just gluing my stuff on and cutting the edges off. And so that's definitely what I do when I start cutting pages in halves or quarters or thirds, you know, whatever that is. I don't math, remember? And so now I'm going to get this photo down, and this is a photo of my husband and I in front of the Disney castle. And I just love this because we went with our friends, and their two kids were Snow White and Prince Charming. That's how they dressed up. It was adorable. And then there were 7 of us, so we were all a different dwarf. And it's just perfect that my husband and I were happy and dopey. Like that's just perfect. And so I love this photo, and I backed it with one of the, it's kind of like a grid paper turquoise, and then I'm going to use that Disneyland for my title, and I'm using both of them so that the blue is kind of a shadow for the pink. And then on the back, there was all these kind of circular elements on the back of one of the papers. And so I'm going to cut them out. And I think this brings in all the colors from the strips that I used on the left over to the right. And then the pink like star or sunray paper is strong enough that it still will show really well. And so I'm pulling in, and this is my other scrap paper. Can you tell? I probably need to get a new mixed media scrap paper. But I'm going to emboss on this Disneyland die cut here. And I'm just using my clear embossing ink, and I am using my dauber, and I'm using the Tim Holtz stencil. And I'm just going to use that embossing ink and get it through the stencil so that the stars will be on the cut file. And so I'm going to use the Recollections Pearl embossing. So it's not going to be like a very obvious pattern on there. It's pearlescent, so it'll just kind of shimmer with the light, and I think it looks really good. And I'll show you a close-up here. But so I used the embossing pad, got that through the stencil, and then poured the embossing powder on. And I always do it on a like piece of thin copy paper so I can pour it back into the jar. And then I use my heat tool, and I did a close-up here so you can kind of see when the embossing powder starts to work. You can see the stars kind of come to life on the cut file. And so this turned out really good. It just adds something to that. And I'm just so happy to use this up because I've had this forever. And I thought, well, I'm never going to use this. It's going to be so hard because it's not a Disney color. But as my aesthetic has changed and I'm trying new things, it's like, oh, let's get that bright pink and blue Disneyland thing that you have used up. And so that I'm just beyond ecstatic about it. And I did it even up on the head of the mouse. I thought about doing something different with the Mickey head on there, but I thought, I think I'll just make it the same kind of pattern as the rest and not do anything too crazy with it. Because I had thought about doing it black or a solid color or popping that up or something. But I was like, no, let's just keep it the solid pattern and it'll match the rest of the word. And so that's kind of my title. I'll probably make this a front page for our Disneyland trip within my album. So this says Disneyland, and then I won't have any of that on any of the other layouts because I won't need to restate that it's Disneyland. And so now I'm just going through my ephemeras that I have, and I had this little pink castle, and I figure why not? let's just use that guy up. And why couldn't there be palm trees behind the castle? You know, this is Disneyland, and so it's just a fun photo, but it has now palm trees behind it. Little clusters, but I like that. And I'm just getting some things put around. I liked this little sun. This came from the Echo Park Disney sticker pack, and then it says the castle. I will move that down to the blue little circle by the photo. And then I used my punch and cut out some Mickey heads to just put a couple around, and I put it says magic in there. And I really thought about putting something more in the top left on the strips, but I thought, no, I like that you can see the different patterns in that. And so even though that's kind of busy, I'll just leave that open and create just one cluster to the left of my title here. And then I cut out some of the circles from the paper that aren't full circles and just kind of put them around the layout, and then I have them sticking out just a little bit so that I can trim them, and then they're even with the layout. But that's the layout. Thanks everyone. I hope that everyone has a great day. Bye.